name's Sydnie Christmas.
Is it?
Sydnie
That's an unbelievable name. I love that.
It's terrible, isn't it?
It's not.
My middle name's worse.
What is it?
Mary.
In the world of TV talent shows, a victory is often the final scene of a perfect fairy tale. The confetti falls, the check is handed over, and a new star is born, presumably set for a life of instant, everlasting success. In June 2024, when Sydnie Christmas was crowned the winner of Britain's Got Talent, it felt like that quintessential storybook ending. With £250,000 in her pocket and a guaranteed spot at the Royal Variety performance, her future seemed dazzlingly bright. Millions had been captivated by her powerhouse voice and refreshingly down-to-earth personality. She was the girl from Kent who had, against all odds, made it. But the story of what happens after the cameras stop rolling is rarely as simple as the one we see on screen. For Sydnie Christmas, the journey beyond her BGT triumph wasn't a straightforward shot into the stratosphere of UK entertainment. Instead, it became a complex story of confronting public skepticism, making some startlingly unconventional choices, and navigating the treacherous waters of sudden fame. While you might assume her life became a whirlwind of recording studios and red carpets, the reality was far more nuanced and, in many ways, way more interesting. This is the story of a winner who refused to follow the predictable path. A story of returning to school when the world expected an album, of being let go from her day job just as her star was rising, and of a quiet, deliberate effort to build a career and a life on her own terms. So, what really happened to Sydnie Christmas? The answer reveals a story of resilience, authenticity, and a profound understanding that the real work begins long after the confetti has been swept away. The final moments of Britain's Got Talent Series 17 were a masterclass in TV tension. As the last two contestants, singer Sydnie Christmas and magician Jack Rhodes, stood waiting for a life-altering announcement, a nation held its breath. When the hosts declared Sydnie the winner, the explosion of joy was palpable. She crumpled. In disbelief, a genuine, unvarnished reaction that sealed her place in the public's heart. In that moment, she wasn't just a performer. She was every person who ever dared to dream. She later admitted to barely remembering the moment itself, describing it as a blur of shutting her eyes and punching the air like she'd scored a try. In a rugby match, she had become the first solo female singer to win the show, a landmark achievement. However, Not Euphoria was almost immediately pierced by a familiar, cynical narrative that often shadows talent show winners: the Fix controversy. Within hours, social media was ablaze with accusations. It's the issue: Sydnie's professional background. Critics pointed out that she wasn't exactly an amateur plucked from obscurity. She had trained at the DNB Academy of Performing Arts, graduated in 2014, and had a string of professional credits. She'd performed in the West End production of Lazarus, toured the world on Royal Caribbean cruise ships in shows like Grease, and even had a role in the German production of Starlight Express Scene. To some viewers, this resume was proof of an unfair advantage. Accusations flew that the show was rigged, with some pointing to her final performance slot as proof of favoritism for Sydnie, who had just experienced the highest high of her career. This backlash was a brutal welcome to fame. She described the experience as soul-destroying and heartbreaking. In an interview, she was visibly emotional, explaining that the claims questioned her entire journey. "Everything has been genuine and I've said my truth, so saying it's not is questioning me," she stated, her voice thick with emotion. "There's nothing that breaks my heart more than to see the doubt." She confessed that the online anger made her feel really ****pie, but she ultimately resolved to focus on those who had supported her. Acknowledging she couldn't change the minds of angry skeptics, what that Fix narrative failed to capture was the reality of her professional life. Yes, she had worked, but it was a life of graft, not glamour. Her career was a patchwork of short-term contracts, understudy roles, and long periods of uncertainty of reality for so many working performers. She had been on the verge of giving up, telling her family just before her BGT audition that performing was no longer a viable career. BGT was, in her own words, a last-ditch attempt. She had taken a 0-hours contract at a local gym to pay her rent, a fact that starkly contrasted with the image critics were painting. The story wasn't of an established star seeking more fame, but of a struggling artist fighting for one last chance. The controversy, while painful, inadvertently highlighted the very underdog story that made her so compelling in the first place. It was her first major test, forcing her to develop a resilience that would become the cornerstone of her post-BGT career. She had won the crown, but now she had to prove she deserved to wear it. For every Britain's Got Talent winner, the prize is twofold: the life-changing £250,000 and the career-defining opportunity to perform at the Royal Variety Performance. The latter is steeped in over a century of tradition. A command performance for British royalty that has featured legends from the Beatles to Dame Shirley Bassey. For Sydnie, this wasn't just another gig. It was the ultimate validation. On November, she walked onto the hallowed stage of the Royal Albert Hall to perform for King Charles III. She described the experience as mind-blowing, nerve-wracking. "Pinch me. This can't be real." Her mentor and Golden Buzzer champion, Amanda Holden, who was co-hosting the event, had the special honor of introducing her. It was a powerful, full-circle moment. However, Sydnie's song choice sparked another wave of debate. Instead of reprising a beloved BGT number like Over the Rainbow, she opted for a cover of Imagine Dragons' hit, Believer. It was a bold, powerful, and contemporary choice. But for some viewers at home, it was a misstep. Social media lit up with comments from fans who felt the song didn't showcase her voice as well as her BGT performances had, calling it a letdown. Yet, for others, it was a triumph, a performance truly fit for the Royal Variety Performance. This divide was a lesson in itself. As a public figure, you can't please everyone. The performance marked a conscious step away from being just a talent show winner and towards defining herself as a recording artist with her own vision, while the royal performance was the pinnacle of showbiz glamour. Sydnie's life off stage took a turn that was strikingly, almost bizarrely, normal. In a move that defied all expectations, just weeks after her victory, news broke that she had been let go from her gym job. The incident added another layer of surrealism to her journey. Here was a singer who had performed for a king, yet was simultaneously dealing with the mundane reality of losing her day. This period was defined by choices that prioritized long-term stability over the fleeting temptations of fame. She revealed she had carefully put her £250,000 prize money away in a savings account. She told the Daily Mail her goal was to save for a house and the stability to one day have a family. But perhaps the most surprising move was her announcement in March 2025 that she was going back to school. She enrolled to finish her Level 3 personal training qualification, a course she had started before BGT. "It's good to have something, just in case," she explained. A statement that spoke volumes about her pragmatism. It was a clear signal that Sydnie Christmas was not getting swept away by the tide of celebrity. She was building a foundation, ensuring that no matter what happened, she would have control over her own future. After the whirlwind of the win and the grandeur of the Royal Variety, the real work began. For Sydnie, this meant stepping out of the shadow of the competition and defining herself as an artist. The journey from a talent show contestant singing covers to a credible recording artist is a perilous one, but she tackled it head-on. As she described it, life took off and it didn't stop. Her first major project was her debut album. Released in October 2024, entitled My Way, the album was a clever blend of the old and the new. It included new recordings of her signature BGT songs, Tomorrow, Over the Rainbow, and of course, the bold Sinatra classic that gave the album its name. But the album was more than just a BGT recap. One of the most significant additions was a recording of Starlight Express. This was a deeply personal choice, as she'd spent years performing in the show in Germany. The idea came after she caught the attention of the composer himself, Andrew Lloyd Webber, who personally encouraged her to release it. The album My Way was a success, hitting the #1 spot on both the UK and US iTunes charts, a clear sign of her widespread appeal. Beyond the album, her musical output was prolific. She released a festive EP in November 2024 titled Christmas at Christmas, which featured reimagined versions of classics and festive standards, in a move that demonstrated a deep connection to her family and her country's history. She also released an emotional version of the wartime anthem, We'll Meet Again, to commemorate the 80th anniversary of VE Day in May 2025. Throughout this period, she leaned heavily on the guidance of her BGT mentor, Amanda Holden. Their bond didn't end when the cameras were turned off. Sydnie described Amanda as the best, revealing that she had been a vital sounding board, providing crucial words of wisdom as she navigated the music industry. By mid-2025, reports were already surfacing that Sydnie was working on a sophomore album, this time with a focus on original music. This forward-thinking approach signaled a clear commitment to building a long-term recording career, establishing Sydnie Christmas not just as a winner, but as a lasting voice in British music. Sydnie's journey from West End performer to BGT champion, and now a solo artist, is a story of incredible adaptation. But what was your favorite performance that showcased her true talent? Let us know in the comments below. And if you're enjoying this, look into what happens after the big win. Make sure to subscribe for more stories just like this, for an artist whose power lies in that raw connection with an audience. A recording studio only tells half the story. The true test is the live stage, and Sydnie Christmas was eager to prove her BGT success was no fluke. She wasted no time announcing her first ever headline UK tour, the My Way Tour. This was a huge step. While she was a stage veteran, this was the first time her name was the main attraction. The tour, which kicked off in early 2025, saw her perform at prestigious venues from the Lowry in Salford to London's Aldwych Theatre. The response was phenomenal. The tour sold out, earning 5-star reviews from critics and adoring fans. Audiences were treated to songs from her BGT run and tracks from her #1 album, cementing her status as a world-class live vocalist. It was on this tour that she truly came into her own, commanding the stage with a confidence that was all hers. Her success wasn't confined to the UK. In a sign of her growing international appeal, Sydnie's first shows in New York at the iconic Sony Hall also sold out in April 2025. This was followed by a breathtaking opportunity, an invitation to sing at the legendary Hollywood Bowl. She performed as part of a tribute for the 75th birthday of legendary music producer David Foster, sharing the stage with global superstars like Michael Bublé, Josh Groban, and Andrea Bocelli. To go from a gym reception desk to the Hollywood Bowl in just over a year was a staggering achievement. Her success continued to snowball, with a new headline show announced for London's His Majesty's Theatre in August 2025, which is set to be filmed for Us Broadcast. This rapid expansion of her profile did not go unnoticed. As of mid-2025, there was significant buzz about a possible television special or a mini documentary chronicling her incredible rise. Producers reportedly saw her as both an inspiring figure and a marketable personality. Whether belting out a show tune or speaking honestly about her journey, Sydnie radiated a warmth that kept fans loyal and curious about what she would do next. The show was well and truly on the road, and it was clear Sydnie Christmas was just getting started in an age of carefully curated public personas. Sydnie Christmas's most radical act has been her unwavering authenticity. While her professional life transformed, she made a conscious effort to remain grounded, focusing on her mental and personal health with a rare candor. The pressures of fame are immense, and Sydnie has been remarkably open about its challenges, from the soul-destroying online criticism to the anxiety that plagued her during her BGT run. She revealed that the stress was so severe at times that she would need her vocal coach to physically lead her out for her semi-final and final performances. Recognizing the toll this pressure was taking, Sydnie prioritized her mental well-being, speaking openly about attending therapy to navigate the seismic shifts in her life. She has also spoken about her health journey. For years, she battled a mystery illness that caused crippling stomach pain and chronic fatigue. Doctors were stumped, and she was even prescribed antidepressants to cope with the mental toll. Wasn't until 2021 that a GP suggested she might have an intolerance to gluten. After just 2 weeks on a gluten-free diet, her life completely changed. The pain vanished, her energy returned, and she was able to come off the antidepressants. This experience gave her a profound appreciation for her health, a lesson she carried into the whirlwind of BGT fame. Throughout it all, her support system has been her rock. Her family, friends, and a tight-knit circle have helped her stay grounded. She has also found happiness in her personal life, confirming her relationship with model and singer Max Rizzo, whom she met while performing in Starlight Express. She has spoken of their shared understanding of life in the limelight, a partnership that provides stability amid the chaos. Looking to the future, her ambitions extend beyond the stage. She has spoken candidly about her desire for a balanced life and her hopes of starting a family one day. This desire for normal things reveals the heart of who Sydnie Christmas is. A world-class talent with down-to-earth dreams. Her journey has not just been about finding her voice as an artist, but about carefully building a life that is as rich and fulfilling offstage as it is on. When Sydnie Christmas stood on the Britain's Got Talent stage, her powerful voice filling the auditorium, she was singing for a dream. But what happened after she won is a testament to what it takes to live that dream. Her journey has been a powerful refutation of the idea that a talent show victory is a simple golden ticket. Instead, it has been a story of immense graft, unshakable resilience, and profound authenticity. She faced the fire of public scrutiny with a heartbreaking honesty that only endeared her further to her true supporters. She fulfilled the promise of a royal performance, not with a safe choice, but with a bold statement of the artist she intended to become. Her path was anything but conventional. At the height of her newfound fame, she made the startlingly pragmatic decisions to save her prize money and return to school choices that prioritized long-term security over short-term glamour. But this grounding did not temper her ambition. It fueled it. She has since launched a #1 iTunes album, completed a sold-out debut UK tour, captivated audiences in the US, and shared a stage with some of the world's biggest music icons. She has done all of this while speaking openly about her mental and physical health struggles, dismantling the myth of the flawless superstar and replacing it with something far more real and relatable. As of mid-2025, Sydnie Christmas is no longer just a BGT winner. She is a full-fledged artist, a touring headliner, and an inspiring public figure with a clear vision for her future. Her story is not just about what happened after the confetti fell. It's a compelling blueprint for how to build a lasting career and a meaningful life in the modern age of fame. The final curtain on her Britain's Got Talent chapter has long since closed. But for Sydnie Christmas, the show is only just beginning. Who do you want to see us cover next? Drop a name in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive.